I don't think I'll ever forget how that night felt. The sting of it lingering long after. My name's Daniel, and I've been married to Emily for nearly 9 years. We'd had our ups and downs, sure, but I believed naively that beneath it all there was respect, love, even that fragile illusion shattered in the most humiliating way imaginable. It was a Saturday evening, and Emily had invited a few friends over. Normally, I would have made myself scarce, retreating to the study or going for a drive. But that night, I stayed in the garage, finishing some work. The house wasn't huge, and voices traveled easily through the vents. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but when I heard my name, Daniel, I paused. One of her friends laughed. "You're lucky he puts up with all your moods." Then Emily spoke, sharp, dismissive, dripping with disdain. "Lucky? Please. He's a fool. A total doormat. Always saying yes. Always cleaning up my messes, never standing up for himself. Honestly, I don't even know why he tries so hard. It's pathetic." Her friends laughed nervously, but Emily didn't stop. She went on, fueled by some cruel amusement. "I swear, I could tell him to sleep in the backyard, and he'd grab a blanket without arguing. That's who he is, my little obedient fool." My chest tightened. Heat rushed to my face. These weren't careless words. They were revealing. This wasn't a slip. This was how she really saw me. I should have stormed in, yelled, demanded answers. But instead, I froze in the shadows, heart pounding, strangely calm. Because in that moment, something inside me snapped, not in rage, but in clarity. She thought I was a doormat. She had no idea who she was underestimating. That night, as the laughter carried upstairs, I made a decision that would change everything. I didn't confront her. No yelling, no dramatic reveal. I slipped into bed hours after her friends left, pretending nothing had happened. But inside, the wheels were already turning. For years, I'd sacrificed my own needs, bending over backward to keep Emily happy. Every compromise, every yes when I want to say no, had been me trying to protect our marriage. But now I realized those sacrifices had only fed her contempt. The next morning, I woke before her. Normally, I'd make coffee, cook breakfast, wait for her with a smile. Not this time. I poured a cup just for myself, ate in silence, and went for a long drive. When I returned hours later, Emily was pacing the kitchen, clearly irritated. "Where were you? You could have at least told me," she snapped. I shrugged, her brow furrowed, as if my silence was a rebellion, and in a small way it was, but it felt good. Over the following week, I began pulling back piece by piece. I stopped rushing to run her errands, stopped rearranging my schedule for her last-minute whims, stopped cushioning every conversation with apologies. The more space I gave myself, the more unsettled she became. One evening, she confronted me. "Why are you acting different? You're usually so accommodating." I met her gaze steadily. Maybe I just got tired being treated like a fool. For the first time, her face drained of color. She didn't know exactly what I'd heard, but she knew I wasn't playing the same role anymore. That's when the cracks began to show. She accused me of being distant, of neglecting her. She tried charm, anger, guilt trips, but none of it worked, because I had already made my choice. Late at night, in the quiet of my study, I pulled out papers I never thought I'd touch, divorce forms. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. As I signed my name at the bottom, I realized Emily had been wrong about me all along. I wasn't her doormat. I was her wake-up call. The day I handed her the divorce papers, she laughed first, a sharp, mocking sound, as if I told the funniest joke she'd ever heard. You'd never leave me. You need me. Who's going to cook for you? Remind you to pay bills? You can't survive without me." I didn't flinch. "You've mistaken kindness for weakness, Emily. That's your biggest mistake." Her smile faltered. She searched my face, looking for hesitation, a softening, a second guess. None came. For the first time in years, I wasn't looking at her as my wife. I was looking at her as the person who spent years eroding my dignity. "You think you're punishing me," she sneered. "I'll take the house, the savings. You'll be crawling back." I slid an envelope across the table. Inside was everything. A meticulous account of our finances, legal representation she hadn't expected, a calm, airtight plan leaving her no room to manipulate. Her eyes widened as she flipped through it. You planned this. I listened to you call me a fool, I said quietly, but I was standing right there. And while you were busy underestimating me, I was preparing my exit. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. She couldn't find words because, deep down, she knew the truth. The man she mocked, belittled, and dismissed had finally chosen himself. In the weeks that followed, I felt lighter than I had in years. The house didn't feel like a prison anymore. It felt like freedom. Friends I drifted from reached out. I rebuilt pieces of myself I hadn't realized were lost. The last time I saw Emily, she tried one final jab. You'll regret this. Men like you always do. I smiled calm and steady. No, Emily. Men like me finally wake up. And with that, I walked away, not as a fool she thought I was, but as a man who decided his worth was greater than her cruelty. She once called me a doormat. She was right about one thing.